talented individuals like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait. Apply now.
Rosie's Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road, just south of 14th and Highway 2.
This is the Adam Carriker Show.
Position right of the quarterback, out of the shotgun, 1st and 20. Jailbreak screen in the air. It is tipped. It is intercepted by Carriker at the Missouri 21-yard line.
Live from the heart of Lincoln, America, 8-year NFL vet and All-American defensive lineman Adam Carriker.
Shotgun snap to Everidge. He's got the left arm going, and now he's got a whole lot of Adam Carriker, who rips it down inside the 25-yard line.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here is your host, Adam Carriker.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to the Adam Carriker Show here on 93.7 The Ticket. Random thought of the day. You know how the valedictorian gets to give a graduation speech? Sam Salisbury says the guy with the worst grades should get to give a graduation speech too. Let's hear both sides. What are your thoughts on that, Jake? Would you have given one of those two speeches?
I would not. I was nice B's and C's get degrees type of guy, but yeah, no, I think that would be entertaining.
I'm all for hearing both sides.
Yeah.
I definitely would. I was somewhere in the middle myself. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome in to the Adam Carriker Show here on 93.7 The Ticket. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Central Time. If you didn't know, now you know what you're going to get. Unique insight, unbridled honesty. Producer Jake and I are going to have a whole lot of fun in the process. What you're going to hear, Husker sports, college football, and sports in general. All right, we got a little bit, I don't know if it's like breaking news or whatever, but a little bit of new news that I did not know until we walked in studio. Jake's like, hey, did you hear about this? So I'm going to go ahead and throw it to Jake, let him chat about it for a minute. While he's doing that, I got a question for the fine folks. Aside from what you're currently doing, okay, let's take the pressure off of upsetting any current employers or bosses. Aside from what you're currently doing, what would your dream job be? Let us know on the text line. What's that number, Jake?
402-464-5685.
All right, well, go ahead. Tell us, what is that new news, so to speak?
Well, a little bit of a dream job for me is currently being taken by Luca Virgilio, who is already part of Nebraska's staff, but now he will be the general manager for Nebraska basketball. Of course, general managers being something we're seeing added to not just college football, college basketball programs all around the country. Virgilio was previously Nebraska's director of basketball strategies and business operations. So just kind of changing up that role a little bit. A couple of paragraphs describing what he was doing or what he will be doing as general manager. Says in his new role, Virgilio oversees and manages the composition of the roster and player acquisition, including high school and international players and transfer portal recruiting, as well as player evaluation and retention. He serves as the liaison between the coaching staff and the athletic department, athletic administration, in the NIL space and with the 1890 Collective. The longest tenured Husker coaching staff member under Coach Fred Hoiberg, Virgilio is also responsible for all men's basketball operations, overseeing budget, scheduling, and on-campus recruiting. He also serves as the primary day-to-day administrator within the basketball office, coordinating team travel and serving as a liaison, again, to administrative units that work with the basketball program.
So talk to me. All right, how much you know about this individual, this situation, and how much of an impact do you think that this can make on Nebraska basketball? It's the whole new world. We all know this. College football, college sports are just completely different than it's ever been. All right, some of it's good. Some of it's a little bit more frustrating. I do think things are going to get ironed out over time. Like 4 years ago, never heard of a GM in college sports. Now Nebraska's already on their second GM in football, so to speak, and their first GM in basketball. But talk to us more about him and the importance that you believe he can bring and how much of a difference you think he can make for the Nebraska basketball program.
Well, again, I think this is a little bit of changing the roles, so to speak, and it's just a good guy for the job as far as not disrupting anything, keeping things going, because he has been a member of Nebraska men's basketball staff for 7 years with Fred Hoiberg. So it's not necessarily anything I think that you'd think, okay, well, now this dynamic is changing. So what does this mean for Nebraska basketball? Of course, Matt Abdelmassih kind of felt like more like the GM, if you will, for Nebraska the first couple of years under Fred Hoiberg. He has since gone to have success, obviously, at St. John's with Rick Pitino and what they've done there. So unfortunately, that there seemed to be a very good basketball mind there. Didn't seem to work out for whatever reason here with Fred Hoiberg, though he did get a few guys in the town that would go on to play in the NBA and such. But for this, I don't think it's necessarily an earth-shattering move. Like I said, I think it's more of kind of changing of the titles and bringing you up to speed with what a lot of teams are doing. And so we'll see. I mean, hopefully it's again, I would, if you entered somebody new into this, you'd think, okay, what are their connections? What are, you want to do a deep dive into there. I don't think this necessarily changes who they're going after or anything like that.
I think there's so many more jobs that need to be done now in college sports. You need more people to do them, and you need people who are specifically good at specific things. So for lack of a better way of putting it, you're taking more things off of Hoiberg's plate or off of somebody else's plate, allowing somebody else to do it so those people, coach, can focus more on coaching, recruiting, development. Right? The GM can focus on what he needs to. Talent evaluators and recruiters and scouts, not a word you're really used to hearing in college sports, although they've been around for a long time. They're also called recruiters, but recruiters also scout as well. And it allows everybody to hone in on what they really need to do. It's kind of the, hey, you got 100 pieces divided up amongst 5 people. Now all of a sudden you got 150, 200 pieces because there's so much more things to do, but you divide it up amongst 20 to 25 people. I hope that analogy kind of makes sense. All right, have we gotten any responses to people's dream jobs? And then, Jake, I want to hear yours. I'm still kind of debating what mine is, but have we gotten any responses to that yet?
Oh, yeah, we've got a few here. Derek in a car says, my dream job, hosting a Nebraska sports history show on the ticket. Our state history in all sports is quite interesting.
Ooh,
so, yeah.
I like that one. That's a unique one that I like. All right, good one right there. I like that.
Scooter from Roca says, I'm at my dream job. I mow the golf course at Wilderness Ridge. I'm at the golf course every day. I just don't golf.
So, rule broken now. I love that you have your dream job, but you broke the rule. You have to pick a different job other than what you're doing. But I love that you're at your dream job. All right. Any others there, Jake?
Let's see. There's a few more. 7826 said, I would love to be a teacher or counselor to continue to help guide the youth. And Barney says, NASCAR driver sprint, car driver.
Ooh, I like that one. Okay. Random. Are there any others real quick?
Not yet.
Keep sending them in. All right. Random question. I had a neighbor years ago. Oh, man. This was like a decade ago. We had this conversation in my basement. And he brought it up to me out of nowhere. He goes, do you think NASCAR drivers are pro athletes? He goes, you just sit in a car and drive in a circle for hours on end. I'm like, do you have any idea how hard that is? He goes, yeah, but it doesn't really take athleticism. And I was like, huh. Now, I personally think they're pro athletes, to be clear. There's different versions. I mean, okay, golfing doesn't take a ton of pure athleticism, but it is a sport that is absurdly hard. And I have the ultimate respect for it. It is a more skill-driven sport than it is pure athleticism sport. I would say baseball, and not that you can't be a great athlete. I'm not saying some people who do it aren't great athletes. I'm saying like baseball, softball, there's more skill development than there is pure athleticism needed. Now, if you're a great athlete and then you develop the necessary skills, oh, that's just a recipe for success. There are other sports where you've got to have a certain amount of athleticism. I don't know, if you're not fast, are you going to do track? Okay, there's like with football, there's a certain amount of, you're going to play in the trenches, you got to be big, strong, able to move, agile, at least for your size. You're going to be a corner, you got to be quick, a receiver, you got to be able to do certain things athletically. So my response has always been, are they sitting there? Does it take a ton of athleticism? I don't know, but it's an absurdly hard thing to do. Driving, however fast they drive, 150, 200 miles an hour for hours on end. You're literally inches from other people who are doing the same thing. It can be life and death if you get in a big, gigantic wreck. So for me, I've always felt they were pro athletes. Man, so his name was AJ. AJ was so adamant that they were not. He's like, they just sit there and drive in circles. I'm like, wow, what an overly simplistic way of looking at it. What do you say? Does anybody on the text line have a thought on that?
Yeah, I'll look at the text line, but I know just by driving go-karts, my arm starts to get hurt after a while. So
you gotta ice the arm?
Yeah, I can feel. I also know, because I was actually talking to a buddy about this because he was able to do that. He did like one track. I don't know. He got access somehow to do one lap. he said he was sweating bullets afterwards. And you
Mhm.
knew, kind of looking into it, you lose somewhere between 5 to 8 pounds during a race. Now it's mostly water weight, but you were sweating like crazy when you're driving.
Oh, for sure. And I don't know. I just, that wasn't planned to be brought up today. I was just kind of like, that conversation has always stuck with me because he was so adamant that they were not. And I'm just like, all right, dude. All right, dream jobs. Anybody else text in? You got one of your own there, Jake? Obviously, his dream job is working with Adam Carriker every day on the ticket, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Central Time. His lifelong dream has come true. Since he cannot say that, Jake will give us something else, unless there's any other text you want to share first.
Well, you're not far off. I do love my job, and I love what it's become, and to be able to work with athletes and do this. So, I mean, yeah, this is one of my dream jobs, but other ones, obviously. Like I said, the GM for the Nebraska basketball team is right up there because my loves, if I had to rank them as far as sports, would go Nebraska football and basketball, and it would be hard to pick between my children there. And then, Celtics GM, I'd love something like that as well. That's kind of my next favorite team in sports. But yeah, I mean, those are GM of Nebraska basketball, though, man. I just couldn't. That is a cool job. That would be a lot of fun, especially trying to get Nebraska over the hump and get to a tournament victory. I was talking with Austin about it too in the other room. Yeah, you could argue like there's maybe if you were the Duke GM, there would be more value or more of a spotlight on you. But you better not make a mistake there. Here in Nebraska, you probably make a mistake or two. No offense, Nebraska. You just compared to Duke, the standards are a little
more challenging.
Yeah.
In some situations, some people embrace the challenge. You could say the challenge at Duke is the expectations. So there's different types of challenges at different spots. The challenge at Nebraska is trying to create more wins than historically you have had on the basketball court, which is something that can happen, but that's the challenge. At Duke, the expectation is you better win, and they're spending money, so they expect to win. So then there's the pressure and I can't think of the word, basically where people are watching and analyzing everything you do, okay? And so that would be the challenge there. It's interesting. When I was a kid, my dream job now, taking out anything that I do now for a living, would be anywhere, I don't know, immediately my heart went to like helping kids. All right, if I could take just money out of the equation, just what I want to do. If you factor in money, this might change a little bit, I don't know. Just exactly what I want to do, taking out what I'm already doing, anything that's helping kids, especially within our local community. All right, and so that is something, whether it's volunteering, whether it's teaching, whether it's whatever the case may be, that is something that immediately my heart was drawn to when Jake and I decided to talk about this like 3 minutes before the show started today. That's where my heart went. As a kid, though, when I was a kid, all right, I never in a million years thought I'd play at Nebraska. You got to keep in mind, I grew up halfway across the country. So playing at Nebraska, I think at this point in time, I wouldn't even play football. My dad didn't allow me to play football until I was in 7th grade. So at this point in time, the obvious thing for me would have been to been Nebraska's head coach. But that's where the challenge comes in. You got to keep in mind, 6th grade, I was 12. So we're talking like 95, 96. So Nebraska's pretty good. And in my mind, I was like, I want a different challenge. I want to take a program that hasn't won as much and turn them into a winner. So that takes out Nebraska. And we lived in Colorado for a long time. I always wanted to be able to ski more often, do those things. And so we did. Now we're back in Lincoln. But at the time, Colorado was pretty good. So I looked around. I'm like, all right, Fort Collins is beautiful. Colorado State. So I would pretend that I was Colorado State's head football coach. And like I would create a whole schedule. And I would like play out these mock games. And then every year on the schedule in the non-conference was Nebraska, of course.
Right.
All right.
You wanted to beat Nebraska.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't change my love in Nebraska, but in this scenario where I am the ultimate underdog, I'm taking on the big dog. To be the man, you got to beat the man. Woo! Ric Flair, baby. Nebraska was always on the non-conference. All right. And so was Colorado because they were WAC at the time in the WAC. Yeah. All right. And I think the big bad dog in the WAC at the time was BYU, maybe. And now they're in the Big 12. Everything's changed. WAC doesn't even exist anymore. And so that was always I was like Colorado State's head football coach, and we were trying to beat Nebraska, and inevitably every year we'd fail, but we'd knock off Colorado because up theirs, and then we'd go win the WAC, and then there was no playoff at the time. And eventually, we'd win the national title, and we'd beat everybody, and, But now it would be anything that kind of helps kids, things of that nature, and that's kind of what my heart is drawn to. Obviously, Jake and I love what we're doing right here, right now. I do want to mention, all right, you said 11:30 today.
Yeah, we got to go to break in here 2.5 minutes or so.
Okay, Royals pregame, all right, starts at 11:30 today. So when we take this first break, the show doesn't stop, okay? But we will be back online only. Correct, Jake?
That's correct.
Online only if you want to continue to follow the show the rest of the day. All right, you got any more texts or anything else in there? Another thing that popped into my head, sorry, real quick, I want to be the one guy that beats the gorilla. That was the other thing that popped into my. I'm going to be the one guy that beats the gorilla. I don't know if that's a job, but anybody else on the text line?
Well, there's a lot that we can go through here in the text line, but I did want to say, as you're saying, like helping, children too. I think it's crazy how these things just kind of get overlooked, and you kind of look at like the history of this spring game this past week, and just how cool it was for teammates to get $130,000, whatever. I mean, I think that was what it was, the exact pledge from Matt Rule, and It just reminds me sometimes how those stories can just kind of get glossed over, and then we're going to look back on this year like what happened, and it won't even get mentioned. But that made me really proud to be a Husker and involved with the Huskers and Tom Osborne and Matt Rule and all the, like, if you're a fan, of course winning comes first more than anything. But if you're going to do a pledge like that, it was just awesome to see that, not only to help the youth around this community, but also, obviously what Tom Osborne set up long ago and the lasting impact that he's going to have long after he's gone, to continue that tradition all these years later.
You actually make a great point, because if Nebraska has won more games recently, people are more likely to talk about that. It's the same amount of money, it's the same donation, the same great cause. Hopefully you're helping as many people as possible. But where there hasn't been as many wins recently, the focus becomes more on the wins. And like you said, this may be talked about in passing, but it won't be focused on, because people are going to focus on what's wrong with the program. How do we fix this? How do we fix that? It's kind of like what I say, winning cures almost everything. It just kind of goes hand in hand. It's human nature. We got about 1 minute left. Anything else from the text line? And when we come back, we can come back to the text line again. Just know that we'll be online only at that point.
8356 says my dream job is being a retired Powerball winner. So plenty to do there.
Are we finding loopholes? Is that a job? Is that a loophole right there?
I think that is. 5162 said I'd love to own a brewery down the line.
Ooh, okay. All right.
Ben argues that taxi drivers are athletes too, if you're going to count NASCAR.
Okay. Are you driving 200 miles an hour down the road? I don't know about that.
We got plenty more. 3974 says dream to have a ranch out west and raise cattle.
I like that. That's a good one. Good one. All right. Raising some cattle. Anything else?
Let's see. Campground host was one of them. Coaching at Nebraska. Let's see. A teacher, special ed teacher. Just trying to get through them. Bullpen catcher, backup bullpen catcher.
Backup bullpen. That's one I thought I'd never hear. That's intriguing. That's interesting. It's a good one when you think about it. It's very selfless and helping of the team. Not the catcher, not an all-star catcher, just willing to be there and help the guys getting ready before they go into the game. That's a unique one I never thought I'd hear. I kind of like that one. All right, we better head to break, Jake. All right, ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Billy Currington is back on tour. Friday, June 13th, Pinewood Bowl Theater at Lincoln's Pioneer Park. Live in concert. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com.
Ever wish you had another light switch on the other side of the room on a dark night? How much better would you sleep at night if you had a ceiling fan in your room? The High Electric Service Department is here to make your electrical what-ifs a reality. Whether you're looking to replace some outdated light fixtures or brighten up your counters with under-cabinet lighting, High Electric can handle all types of residential electrical installations and services. Give Erica a call today at 402-466-6606 or visit high-electric.com to get started.
Advanced Medical Imaging is the largest radiology group in Nebraska, located in Lincoln at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard. At Advanced Medical Imaging, they utilize state-of-the-art technology and blend it together with their compassionate, skilled team to guide you through every step. Whether it's an MRI, CT scan, or X-ray, their precise diagnostics help your doctor deliver the best care plan for you. Choose clarity and comfort in your life by choosing Advanced Medical Imaging, located at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard and online at amimaging.com.
Lincoln's go-to for fun isn't new. It's a place that's been a staple of the city for years and is only getting better. Matson's Bowling and Billiards always has open bowling available with no long lines, unlike other centers. They have live music almost every weekend and great food at EJ's Bar and Lounge, with seating for 150 people. They have popular meals like the EJ Burger, pizza for the whole family, and famous EJ's Wings. Contact Sarah to book a party for friends, coworkers, or family at Matson's Bowling and Billiards, just south of 48th and Holdridge.
Are you a fan of local wine, craft beer, cider, or spirits? Don't miss SIP Nebraska's 12th anniversary celebration May 9th and 10th at Mahoney State Park and join others who share your passion for great drinks. Enjoy unlimited tastings, live music, delicious food, artisans, and lawn games as you celebrate Nebraska's vibrant beverage industry. And when you find one you love, you can buy a bottle to take home. Choose your ticket package at sipnebraska.com. The SIP Nebraska Spring Festival, a Blur event, May 9th and 10th at Mahoney State Park in Ashland. Load up on meat and more this spring at The Mercado by Certified Piedmontese, with great selections of T-bones, tomahawks, ribeyes, filet mignon, brisket, sirloin, and so much more. The Mercado has locations at 84th and Havelock, 30th and Yankee Hill, and now 85th and Old Cheney in Lincoln, where you can have $2 draft beer every Thursday night from 4 to 8 p.m. and half-price espresso drinks on Fridays from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Get to the Mercado today for the best meat in town.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals just like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait, apply now.
Tailored Landscapes is actively preparing for spring. Things like new tree orders, getting equipment ready, and training staff to serve you the best they can. If you haven't already planned, now is the perfect time to figure out a maintenance plan for your yard. Tailored Landscapes is on the brink of spring cleanups for all their existing customers, and they have limited spots available. They trim trees and shrubs when needed and only mulch proper amounts. Give Tailored Landscapes a call at 402-432-2572 to set up a meeting with one of their designers and stop by the Tailored Life store in Bennett.
You're listening to the Adam Carriker Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Adam Carriker Show here on 93.7 The Ticket. All right, your daily friendly reminder, if you're so inclined and or interested, check out the inaugural Carriker Chronicles football camp July 9th here in Lincoln, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Central Time. You can do so. Learn more about it and or register at carrikerchronicles.com. The camp features Eric Crouch, Amon Green, Zach Weger, Kenny Wilhite, and yours truly. Autographs included, T-shirts included, boys and girls, K through 8th grade, the camp that's for the kids. All right, check it out and or register. Tell a friend, carrikerchronicles.com. Also, men are the happiest when they are improving themselves physically, mentally, and financially. An idle man is a depressed man. It's interesting because there's been times in my life when I'm like, I'm just going to check out for a bit and just do nothing. And it's great. Then after a while, I start to lose my mind. Like for like a day or something, maybe two, if it's like a holiday weekend. Man, after about like, I don't know, like a regular weekend. Like we used to binge like 24 when 24 first came out. You remember that TV show back in the day?
Yeah.
We would like binge watch 24. But after about a day or two of it, man, I'd start to be like losing my mind a little. I got to get up. I got to go out. I got to do something. What did you think of 24? Jack Bauer and all that. Do you like that show?
I can't say I got into it too much. I couldn't comment too much on it. Never watched it. What was it about necessarily?
Oh, there's a lot. Essentially, every season revolved around 24 hours in a day. And so every episode would be like 1 to 2 p.m. Next episode, 2 to 3 p.m. And all these things that would happen. And he was like, in the beginning, like this top agent, and then he had to go kind of rogue, but he was still working for the government. Then the government really turned their back on him, but he would always find a way to save the day. And there was so much that would happen in every hour. It was like loaded. Like the end of first season, his wife actually gets killed at the end of the first season. And I saw the producer and the people who made that show. They're like, they actually made the decision to kill his wife at the end of the season in the show just to send the message to the viewers that you never know what's going to happen. It was very unpredictable. All right. Do you happen to have those clips ready of Josh Pate, or was it just one clip I sent
just
you?
one here. We're
Do you
ready.
happen to have that one ready? All right. So he does a breakdown of the NFL draft. And I'll be honest, I don't get a whole lot of pushback when I say the Big Ten and the SEC are the best two conferences in football. Part of that's because we're in Big Ten country now. All right. But every once in a while, I'll get someone who doesn't like it or whatever the case may be. And I'm like, all right, first and foremost, you're always welcome on the show. We can debate. People don't tend to show up. I'm like, all right, even here one-on-one, like, give me some numbers, give me some facts, give me some evidence. And it's usually more from an emotional point of view that they're like, I don't like it when you say this. It's more emotion than it is realistic or realism. I'm still of the belief, based on things I hear, people I talk to, and also just now the way things are going. 2031, I've mentioned it before. Things may happen sooner, but it looks like 2031 because there's all these contracts up. Big Ten TV contract is up, SEC, all these things. The ACC, grant of rights and all that. It all kind of points to 2031 or around there when there could be more mega, conference realignment. There may be things that happen between now and then. You never know what's going to happen in college sports, college football. Mega conference realignment, contract, TV contract deals, which are driving everything. Money and revenue is driving everything. It's like it always has. It's just more out on Front Street now. It all kind of points to there. And at some point, again, I think it's going to be SEC, Big Ten, like the AFC, NFC. There's going to be 24,000 teams in each conference. They're going to divide it up, probably call it pods, but it's really divisions like the NFL. You have your pod champions, you have your wild cards teams, and they'll all play. Big Ten champ, like the AFC champ, versus the SEC champ, the NFC champ, and the national championship game, kind of like the Super Bowl works out. And if there was some debate, and I was kind of on the fence, I wasn't definitive on this. With NIL, transfer portal, hey, there's going to be more of a distribution of talent. Because guys can now enter the portal. If they're unhappy at Bama, they can go to Nebraska, or they can do whatever. And the teams are going to be more evenly distributed when it comes to talent. Or they could go to, I'm trying to think of a non-Big Ten SEC team, North Carolina, Virginia, Oklahoma State. What's happening is the inverse. It's like maybe a guy will leave Nebraska because he's not happy, but they're not typically going to another. It's interesting because what's happening is if they do go to a non-Big Ten SEC school, all due respect, a lot of times it's because they weren't able to play at a Big Ten SEC school, so maybe they'll go to a lower level. And I say it with all due respect, whether it's Big 12, ACC, Mountain West, whatever the case may be. Okay. But what is really happening is the best players from the MAC, the AAC, are going Big 12 ACC, or they're going Big 10 SEC. The best players from the Big 12 ACC are going to the Big 10 and SEC. So really what's happening, instead of talent dispersing downwards, like from the Big 10 SEC down to other schools, what's really happened is it's dispersing upwards. Okay. Like Big 12 ACC best players are getting more money because there's more money in the Big 10 and SEC. And so they're going to the Big 10 and SEC conference teams, and we're just getting more stacked. The Big 10 and SEC is just getting more and more stacked. So you can look at the draft and you can see these stats, you can see these numbers, and it's actually creating, even quicker than I thought it would, the Big 10 and SEC separation even more. Go ahead and roll that clip, Jake.
The NFL draft just slapped us in the face again with a reminder that there's the way you may want it to be, but then there's the way it is. And the way it is the SEC and the Big Ten, I can't believe this is real, just had 150 out of the 257 picks in the draft. And it gets even worse once you focus in the microscope on the first round. Mind-boggling number. 26 of 32 first-round draft picks were from the SEC or Big Ten. Both of them set respective conference records with how many kids they had drafted. The SEC just had 79 picked. The Big Ten had 71. So those are both conference records. Now, I had some of you who spoke up and you said, well, Josh, duh, now that the SEC has Texas and OU, and now that the Big Ten is loaded up on Oregon, USC, and whatnot, of course they're going to have more picks. I know. That's the point. And then somebody else, in fact, someone else's said, well, yeah, Josh, but a lot of those draft picks didn't get recruited by those schools they transferred there. Yes, that's also the point. The sport has not calibrated itself, by the way, in any shape, form, or fashion, the way that the portal truthers told you it would, or the NIL truthers told you it would.
So when you look at the 2025 draft by conference, SEC had 79 picks total, Big 10 71, ACC 42, Big 12 31. If you combine every other conference, it's 29. So the Power 4 conference, the non-Power 4 conference teams, and that includes independents, which factors in Notre Dame. It's 29 combined draft picks. All right, the Big 12 had the least amount of the Power 4 conference teams with 31. And then there's a gap between them and the ACC, which was at 42. And then a leap up to number 2, which was the Big 10 at 71 and SEC at 79. I don't think most people like the way things are trending, the way things are going, as far as everything kind of going to 2 conferences. I'd prefer it be more dispersed. I'd prefer there be more. We've heard this word parity. They want parity throughout college football. I remember when we went to 85 scholarship limit because they wanted parity and everything else. What we're getting is parity within the Big 10 and SEC, and separation from everyone else is what we're actually getting. When you hear things like this, what does it make you think, Jake?
Well, and not surprised. I mean, this is the way that it's built. It's set up for this to happen. The TV contracts and everything. The Big 10 and SEC should be getting more money year in and year out. And so while that's alarming on a one-year basis, you stack that year after year after year, and it's going to create quite a bit of separation. And it goes to more proof that the SEC and the Big 10 are separating, which I think we already knew. But that's why I was so surprised. And some people get upset about when they're talking about these playoffs and giving automatic bids to the Big 10 and the SEC. Well, no, they should do this, they should do that. I'm surprised they even let these other conferences have much of a vote because of the disparity in how it is. It's just not built the same. And I said the same thing, kind of going back to the Big 10 West, which is how I would like my college football, how it was, with the 5 power conferences, divisions, all that. And there were times where it wasn't completely fair, right, to the parity point, to where divisions weren't created equally. And that's why I would go back to trying to create divisions equally within that. I'll go back to legends and leaders. People didn't like the names, but at least they were balanced. Once you did the Big 10 East and Big 10 West, it was not built the same. There was not the potential for the Big 10 West. And what we see happen for 8-9 years they did it, never won a title game. And now I think as you look at it, going back to that, the SEC and the Big 10 are the Big 10 East, and the rest, everybody else is the Big 10 West.
So you liked the Big 10 East and the Big 10 West better when everyone was like, let's get rid of divisions and let's just take the top 2 teams to play in the championship every year. I see the obvious positive to that. The obvious positive is you're going to get probably the 2 highest ranked teams in the conference to play each other. The drawbacks that I don't think have been talked about, especially with the amount of teams that are in these college football conferences, the schedules are so drastically different. I've sat here. I'm not a Florida guy. All right. Even of the 3 Florida, I'm not a Florida guy. Even of the 3 Florida schools, I've sat here and said I like Florida State the best. Why? Because I like the tomahawk chop. I mean, it was really that simple when I was a kid, and it's always just stuck with me. Same reason I like the Atlanta Braves. Okay. The whole war chant and everything. So, but I've sat here and talked about how just insane Florida's schedule was last year and how insane it is again this year. Oklahoma is just as tough, if not worse. And then if you look at teams like Missouri, you look at some of these other teams throughout these conferences, and the schedule disparity is so insanely different. Texas really played Georgia and A&M a year ago in the regular season. That was about it. Like Florida, I talked about this. Florida is going to play 8 of the top 21 teams in the country going into this upcoming season that are the top 21 favorites to win the national title. They're going to play 8 of them. Think about that. That's crazy. All right. And some of their easier games are against like UCF and USF, which UCF's a Power 4 team and an in-state conference rival. USF is now actually one of the best non-power conference teams and an in-state rival. So I'm kind of looking at them like, why'd you schedule these? But the conference schedule disparities are so crazy. Even Ohio State versus Penn State last year. Ohio State plays Michigan and Penn State and Oregon. Penn State, when it comes to difficult teams within the Big Ten, really played Ohio State. And that was the whole reason they ended up getting into the Big Ten championship. Even though they lost to Ohio State head-to-head, they didn't really play anybody that was that great. And their easier strength of schedule within the conference actually, I feel like, allowed them to get into the conference title game, whereas Ohio State was actually better. Not because of what they did in the playoffs, but because they played a tougher strength of schedule, had more losses, which didn't put them in, but they actually beat Penn State in Penn State on their home field. But they played much tougher teams, so they had an additional loss. They didn't get in. So I think the disparity between conference strength of schedules is a gigantic issue. I think the fact that we don't even come close to playing every single team is an issue. I have this crazy notion that, like, I don't know, 10-team conferences aren't bad. You play everyone in your conference. That way everyone, your records matter more because everyone's played the same teams. That's one reason I didn't hate divisions. Like, I don't hate the idea of 16 to 18 team conferences if you have two divisions. Because then if you've got, let's say, 18 teams, the Big Ten has 18 teams. You put 9 teams in the, I'll even use the awful name, Legends division. You put 9 teams in the awful named Leaders division. But instead of separating it by geography, because geography means nothing, all right, you separate it by quality of teams and you try to balance it out. And then every team in each division plays every team in each division. And this division champ plays this division champ. Now, is it possible that the 2 best teams are in one division? Yeah. Do we get the 2 best teams in the Big Ten championship game last year? No, we didn't. To me, at least I can look and say, hey, this is absolutely the best team in the Leaders. This is absolutely the best team in the Legends. And the odds that they've had crossover games now aren't great. So rematches are okay, but you're going to start to get a ton in the college football playoff. So we don't need a regular season game, a Big Ten championship rematch, and then a college football playoff rematch, which is going to happen at some point. I don't need to see teams play 3 times. Okay. So for me, that's what I've always would have preferred. Try to balance out the divisions equally as much as you can. If you want to have one crossover game a year, let's say for some reason somebody puts Ohio State on one side and Michigan on the other. Okay, you get one crossover game every year, and maybe it doesn't even count towards your conference record or something like that. It's like a rivalry weekend. You pick one Power 4 rival that you play every year. It can either be in your conference or out of your conference. I don't know. Does that kind of make sense, Jake? And that's kind of what I would have always preferred. I don't know. We weren't supposed to go down this track. It was supposed to be draft talk here. But I don't know. That's something that's always kind of made sense to me. When you look more at the draft, a little bit more in depth. Okay. First round draft picks. I talked about this the other day. 26 out of 32 from the SEC and Big Ten. 26 out of 32 first round draft picks. 2 ACC, 2 Big 12, 1 Mountain West, 1 Missouri Valley Conference. 26 out of 32. And when you dive a little bit deeper, you start, and because I've talked about how the Big Ten, the SEC, they're getting the higher ranked players. And, once the season is over, the better players from the smaller conferences or not as big name brand conferences, they enter the portal, they go to the Big Ten and SEC. A lot of times because they can get more money, they get better opportunities to play in big games, play for a championship. Okay, here's how the NFL draft first round picks ranked as high school recruits according to the 247 rankings. Of the 32, 11 were 5-star players in high school. Of the 32, 15 were 4-star players in high school. 4 of them were 3-star players in high school, and 2 of them were unranked, and one of those was Cam Ward, by the way. Which that story I've talked about it before. That story's not been talked about enough. 0-star out of high school. 0 offers out of high school. Number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft. How is that not the lead story out of the NFL draft? That is the lead story 19 years out of 20, 95% of the time. So I heard these analytics. I heard Josh talk about it. It kind of confirms what we already know. It's not about what we already know. It's about the direction of where the sport is going and how quickly it's going there. I was one of those. I wasn't sure. Are guys going to leave the bigger name schools if they're unhappy and go elsewhere? Or are the better players from the smaller schools going to funnel up to the big name brand schools? And that seems to be more what's happening. So it's creating even more of a separation there. You got any final thoughts there, Jake?
Yeah, and it might not be that the guys aren't leaving the bigger schools too, but those guys that are leaving the bigger schools, they're getting frustrated. Generally, unless they are, like Jameson Williams to go from a Big Ten to an SEC school and still get a lot of playing time and make his dream come true and all that. But those are guys that are not deemed worthy of the Big Ten or SEC type of playing. So it is fascinating. Again, I think that this is the start of it. We'll see it continue to go here. And then, from here on out with college football, again, still kind of looking at the ACC. There's a few programs in the ACC, along with Notre Dame, that are outside that Big Ten SEC bubble. But once that happens, at some point in time, then it's not going to be, I just don't think there'll be much argument on behalf. I mean, we look at the Big 12, and yes, the Arizona State can pop up and maybe beat Texas and shock them. But were they one of the best teams in college? Arizona State, Iowa State playing for the Big 12 championship? It's hard to argue. And then the ACC ducked out pretty quickly this year, too.
So, again, the Big 12, take my Nebraska Big Ten connections out of it. The Big 12 is my favorite conference to watch because there's the most parity. There's also the most parity because, with all due respect, there's the least amount of top-end talent, so it's hard to separate. So everyone's a lot more equal, so the games are a lot more entertaining, hence America's conference, that I like to call it, and hence the most entertaining conference. But when you think about overall draft picks, it was by far the least amount of draft picks in the NFL draft, even behind the ACC. The ACC had 42, the Big 12 had 31. What happens in the ACC is the conference top to bottom is not as good, and there's not as much parity as there is even in the Big 12. What happens is Miami, Florida State, and some of these other schools are carrying the top end. Clemson obviously carries the top end when it comes to recruiting, NFL draft picks, and actually producing some decent teams that catch people's eye when it comes to playoff time, which kind of masks and camouflages the rest of the conference, which isn't really that great. Dude, I'd miss Virginia Tech being the old school Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
I loved Beamer and Beamer ball, and I loved Virginia Tech being really good. And when they would battle with Miami and they had that rivalry, even back to the old Big East days, dude, I missed that out of Virginia Tech, but they haven't been Virginia Tech for quite a while. All right. I'm still of them. I'd be surprised if the ACC is still around after 5-10 years, whatever the case may be. I think what's going to happen is all the top end schools out of the ACC, and I don't know what Notre Dame's going to do, are going to funnel to the Big Ten, the SEC. I think the ACC is going away at some point. And again, this may take longer than I originally thought. And everyone else is going to funnel over to the Big 12. So the only hitch in the giddy-up that I see when I talk about AFC, NFC style Big Ten SEC championship is what do you do with the Big 12? Because I don't think the Big 12 is going anywhere. That's the only hitch in the giddy-up that I see. Because all these other schools are going to go there. And you can't just act like that conference doesn't exist at that point, even though they're clearly not going to be on the same level. That's the only thing that I'm kind of curious to see how it plays out. All right, here's a couple of random thoughts. Brett McMurphy on X said, weird stat. Shedeur Sanders is the first player in college football history to have his number retired and not be selected 5 days later in the NFL's first round. That is a random stat. I did not realize that at all. All right, Brett Favre takes to X. He goes, heck, I didn't care when I got drafted. The end of this tweet is my favorite part. And I've actually wondered this several times. All right, let me get there. Heck, I didn't care when I got drafted. I just wanted a team to give me a chance wherever I went. It's what you do when your number is called that matters, not when you were taken. On top of that, the team that drafted me didn't even want me. If you remember, he was a second-round pick of the Falcons. Did he ever play a season for the Falcons? When was he traded to Green Bay?
I think he played one. Let me double check.
All right, Jake's going to look that up because I've always been like, they took used a second-round pick on him, and then didn't really do much with him. And it wasn't some gigantic haul that they got in the trade with Green Bay in return for trading him to Green Bay. So I've always been curious about that, but the point still stands. It's not where you're drafted. It's what you do once you get the opportunity that matters the most, coming from a guy who would know as well as anybody. You get that answer, Jake?
Yeah, he did play the 1 year for the Falcons and then was traded for a first-round pick.
They did? Oh, okay. Yeah. So for a guy who was drafted second round for a first-round pick.
Yeah.
Oh, if you're the Falcons, actually, you did way better than I thought you did. All right. Way to go, Falcons. Oh, something Josh Pate mentioned later on in his show when it comes to Cam Ward. He goes, I'm paraphrasing. He goes, oh, by the way, one reason he might have had no offers and been a 0-star is they didn't use the forward pass at his high school. Did he run the option in high school?
Ooh.
You got to look that up. We're going to talk about that when we come back after the break. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We shall return.
Take control of your health with the DASH scan at Advanced Medical Imaging. The DASH scan is a full-body MRI designed for advanced health screening. This dynamic approach provides exceptionally sharp images across multiple organ systems, helping to detect potential concerns early. With minimal radiation and no invasive procedures, the Dash Scan offers a safe, comprehensive look at your health. Plus, results are delivered faster than ever, giving both patients and physicians confidence in screening and diagnosis. Your health is too important to wait. Schedule your Dash Scan today at Advanced Medical Imaging. Visit amimaging.com or call 402-484-6677 to learn more.
Select Plumbing and Utility has been serving Lincoln and the surrounding area for 14 years, and they're not slowing down. Select Plumbing and Utility handles all your plumbing needs, from faucets and water heaters to full renovations, and they can even help with your heating and cooling needs. They're also Lincoln's underground experts, repairing and replacing broken underground water and sewer lines since day one. Contact Select Plumbing and Utility today at 402-560-6197, assuring excellence in every situation, opportunity, and challenge. That's 402-560-6197.
You grew up on cereal for breakfast and you graduated into drinking coffee at some point as an adult. Now there's a place in Lincoln where you can stay caffeinated but eat like you used to. Control Coffee and Cereal Bar brings Saturday morning vibes to every day with locally roasted specialty coffees, Lotus energy drinks, and tons of breakfast cereals with toppings. And did we mention they have video games to play while you're there too? Control Coffee and Cereal Bar open 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday and 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. on the weekends at 15th and Pine Lake.
Midwest Bank is now hiring in Lincoln. They have multiple banking positions open and are looking for dynamic individuals passionate about helping others and building relationships. With a family-friendly culture, competitive benefits, and unique perks, Midwest Bank is a great place to start a new career. Apply today at midwest.bank. Midwest Bank is an equal opportunity employer, member FDIC.
Why are some people more successful? Is it talent and determination, or did they recognize an opportunity? Discover a career that lets you help families reach their financial goals as you build lasting professional relationships, one with unlimited income potential. From Modern Woodman, a leading fraternal financial services provider.
I'm Modern Woodman Regional Director Sean Erickson. Call me at 402-483-6515 to learn about career opportunities.
Modern Woodman of America, touching lives, securing futures.
A lot of businesses say they're family focused, but when tough situations in life arise, the business wants anything but your best interests. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring, and they will always treat their employees like family, just as they do their customers. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring Class A and B CDL drivers, a shop tech, and a diesel mechanic. If you're looking for a career with a company that goes above and beyond to value you and your family, apply today at jamesenterpriseinc.com or call 402-432-6740.
Step into healing at Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery. Our team of top-notch medical professionals turns pain into progress with state-of-the-art treatments and compassionate care. Visit prairieortho.com and discover the difference in quality orthopedic and plastic surgery services tailored to your unique needs. Your health matters, and Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery is dedicated to helping you thrive. Reach your full potential. Embrace a better tomorrow with Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
At Valentino's, we're on a mission for tradition. On every slice, for every bite. Golden baked crust, cooked to perfection every time. Savory sweet sauce that's made from our own secret recipe. Loaded with the perfect amount of fresh toppings and melty mozzarella cheese. It's the tradition that Nebraskans have come to love. From game day to every day. Valentino's. Taste the tradition.
Get rid of pesky critters once and for all with Bats to Rats. Their expert team is here to help you reclaim your home. No more sleepless nights caused by crawling critters or flapping wings. Bats to Rats ensures a safe environment for every family member. Check the website at batstorats.com for amazing offers. And if you mention this ad, you'll receive $10 off your initial inspection cost. Call Bats to Rats today at 402-781-8691. That's 402-781-8691. Bats to Rats.
You're listening to the Adam Carriker Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Adam Carriker Show here on 93.7 The Ticket. A humpback whale was found dead in the Amazon rainforest. The person responded and said, "This doesn't surprise me. The Amazon rainforest is no place for a whale to survive." It just makes so much sense. All right. What did you find? Is there anything off the text line that we need to respond to? And what did you find on Cam Ward?
Oh, yeah, we get to get more dream jobs here in a second. But, yeah, Cam Ward looking up his high school. So he played for a wing T offense. So they ran the ball first, second, and third down pretty much. So he didn't get to throw all that much. Now, he did throw a little bit more than maybe the wing T offense would make you think. So about 12 passes a game. Ended up 72 for 124 for 1,070 yards and 7 touchdowns as a junior. Then as a senior, 49 of 109, which is below 50% there. Come on, Cam. For 948 yards and 8 more touchdowns.
Interesting, because he completed almost 70% of his passes as a junior, over 1,000 yards, then under 50 and under 1,000, under 50% completion percentage, and under 1,000 yards his senior year. That is more passing than I would have imagined from a wing T offense. Here's the other thing. He's a decent athlete, but if you're going to be in that offense, you got to be like a running quarterback. I don't necessarily that I see that out of him. So that was a little bit surprising for me. But interesting. It's good to know. Good information to have. Anything off the text line there, Jake?
I was saying, yeah, it also says he rushed for 331 yards in his 3 years as a starter.
That is not a lot.
Isn't a whole lot
for the wing T.
Yeah, only 11 touchdowns. So they had a future Heisman winner and first-round pick handing the ball off for most of the time when he was in that offense, I'm assuming.
That is amazing to think about. That is crazy. It's funny because when I go back to my journey a little bit, the D-line coach in Nebraska when I was a senior in high school was flat out like, "You're not good enough to play here, et cetera, et cetera." I was a quarterback for my team in high school, and we went 0-9. So you hear all sorts of things when it comes to that, and you never know how things are going to play out. In 7th grade, I didn't even start. I'll just be blunt. The teacher's kid started ahead of me at quarterback. They went to a funeral in Montana. I finally got to start and play. I threw 4 touchdowns in the game, and the kid never played again. He's a doctor now. All right, Jonathan's doing all right. Don't worry. He's a doctor now. But it's like you look at kind of how things progressed as far as my story, my career, my life, and Jonathan didn't even play high school football. It's kind of crazy. You never know what's going to happen or how things are going to play out. All right, you're listening to us on 93.7 The Ticket. Check out all things The Ticket at theticketfm.com. All right, also Facebook, X, anywhere you get your podcast platforms, Amazon Prime. Not right now, but if actually you can check out the Royals pregame. But if you want to hear the Adam Carriker Show, normally I'd say check in, tune your dial to 93.7. Not at the moment, but if you want to hear the Royals pregame, I guess we'll allow that. Otherwise, on a normal day, turn that dial to 93.7 at the top of the hour. All right, we will be discussing Trey Taylor is going to make his announcement. I believe it's at 3:30 today. All right, live at 3:30 today, he's going to be committing to one of 3 or 4 schools. We're going to talk about that at the top of the hour. Texas football is rumored to have spent $35 to $40 million. Salary cap. Who cares about that? All right. And a little bit of portal update news coming our way as well. Just to kind of clarify my thoughts on why I like divisions, because right now, I believe the 2 teams that make the conference championship game in these conferences, especially in the tougher conferences, Big Ten and SEC, where if you're playing like a bunch of top 10, top 15 teams, that's obviously going to make a huge difference. Maybe you're probably playing like top 30, 35 teams, but there's a huge difference between teams that would be 30 to 35, 40, 45 in the country versus teams that are 5, 10, 15, and 20 ranked in the country. Because right now, I'm kind of like the 2 teams that make the conference championship game are kind of the 2 teams that are good. They might still make it, or they could be the 2 teams that are good but had the significantly lesser difficult schedules. And that's not necessarily the two best teams. That's why I like the old division style, where at least I know this is the best team from this division versus I know this is the best team from this division. And at least you know you're getting the best team from these divisions. And if there's 8 or 9 teams in a division, I mean, the Big 8 used to have 8 teams to be an entire conference. The old Southwest Conference, I believe, had 9. The ACC for years had 9 until they expanded, brought in Miami, Virginia Tech, etc. So you're talking like these used to be the size of conferences. So you're going to get a good team out of each division to play, and then at least you know everybody's played the same teams. So if you're really, really good in one division, you're going to play all the teams from your division, and then if you're the best, you're going to play the best team from the other division. So at least you know you probably play just about all the best teams within the conference as a whole, and at least the schedules are a lot more balanced. I got more college football potential solutions that we'll dive into as the spring and summer roll on. You got any final thoughts on that? Were there any comments on my thoughts on how the division should be done, or the conferences should be done? Or you got any final thoughts of your own there, Jake?
Yeah, most people just like the dream job question, but I do like the division stuff. It's interesting too, just, and I don't know if it's better or worse, but it just seemed like more fun in college football when you did have conference pride that was kind of tied into regional pride, right? So it was like, you might not always get an idea of, I get the matchups in the playoffs you might not get to see. That was kind of the fun, was arguing it. And then that was the importance of like the Rose Bowl. It's like, finally, we get to see our champion versus your champion. And so from going from that to what was just an awful experiment with conference championship weekend this year to go into college football playoffs. Remember, they're going to have to change that because, you get the first round bye or whatever, but you're still playing as many games as the team that, that didn't win it. And then obviously we saw those teams lose. It's just sad where conference championship games are, to the point of like trying to find a role for them, trying to find a spot that makes them still have importance. But when the playoffs, again, a bigger playoff overshadows not just the regular season, but also conference champions. And so I don't have all that much interest or care. Like Oregon won the Big Ten championship last year. Did anybody care?
Nope.
Does that mean anything now?
It hurt them.
Yeah, it just hurt them.
They arguably, who they played? They had Ohio State in the first round. Had they won that, if I remember right, they were going to play Texas, because Texas did beat Arizona State. And then eventually down the line, they would have either played Georgia or Notre Dame, who beat Georgia. Hey, you're the number one undefeated Big Ten champions, number one team in the country. Here's your road to the championship: Ohio State, Texas, and either Georgia or Notre Dame, whoever wins that game. You're welcome. No thanks. Teams don't even want to win the Big Ten, the conference titles anymore. Lane Kiffin flat out and said, I don't even want to play in it. I don't even want to be in it, which actually makes a lot more sense to me. All right. And to be clear, the divisions, I would not divvy them up by geographic location. I would divvy them up, trying to make them as equal as I can when it comes to competitive teams within each conference, or each division within the conference. Or when we come back, all right, we'll chat a little Nebraska softball, Jordy Ball, Trey Taylor, our good buddies down in Texas, spending $35 to $40 million. Transfer portal updates. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen.
Unearth the secret to long-lasting tires at Tread's Central Tire Pros, a league apart in commitment, service, and expertise. This isn't just about rubber meeting the road, but trust, safety, and surety converging in perfect harmony. This is where expectations are exceeded every time. Make your appointment today at Tread's Central Tire Pros, just south of Cortland on Highway 77, or visit our website to explore our services. Remember, when it comes to tires, choose Tread's Central Tire Pros, because we tread differently.
Hi everyone, Kendall Warnock, A1 Automotive in downtown Lincoln. Spring is here, summer is fast approaching. With weddings, vacations, and weekend getaways on your mind, do not let car issues prevent you from getting where you need to be. Car problems shouldn't be something that you put up with. Let us get you back on the road in comfort and safety. We diagnose all makes and models, from Porsches to Hondas, Toyotas, and Chevrolets. We fix a variety of issues with all of them with our talented techs and our experienced staff. A1 Automotive at 11th and L, downtown Lincoln, always honest answers.
Empower a child today with the Teammates Mentoring Program. Hope is only a conversation away when you choose to share your talent, time, and heart with a child. Together, you can build a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future, 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting LincolnTeammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
Rain, snow, or shine, John Henry's is here to keep your home's plumbing systems working properly no matter what kind of weather Nebraska throws at us. From unclogging toilets and drains to installing new water heaters and water treatment systems, John Henry's is your plumbing expert in the Lincoln and Omaha communities. Visit us at calljh.com or call John Henry's.
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing, Heating and Air.
And electrical.
If you want to make new floor shopping easier, come to Oak Street Carpet. Hi, I'm Steve Carper. Our flooring professionals can help you choose the best flooring for you, your family, and your budget. We eliminate the confusion. Even better, you'll be enjoying your new flooring much sooner. No 6 or 8 week waits. We'll install right away and save you money on installation. Floor shopping made easy every day at Oak Street Carpet.
Oak Street Carpet.
1732 O Street. Family owned and operated. Always the best value.
At Parkview Animal Hospital in Lincoln, it's not just their professional care that sets them apart, but their warm staff and state-of-the-art facilities. Whether it's for a routine checkup or a comprehensive medical procedure, at Parkview, your pet isn't just another number, but a valued member of their caring family. Visit them at pahlincoln.com today and in person just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. Parkview Animal Hospital, your pet, their passion for happier, healthier, furry friends.
Authentic Mexican food is not always easy to find, but you can find it in Lincoln at Tacos Los Hermanos. Their birria tacos are worth the drive from anywhere in town, but their chicken, chorizo, al pastor, and asada tacos are also worth the trip. You can also try any of those meats in a burrito or quesadilla. You won't find a better toppings bar in the area or better dessert options. If you can't get there, don't worry, they do deliver as well. Stop by Tacos Los Hermanos for lunch or dinner today at 70th and Havelock Streets in Lincoln.
Your new Total Wine in Lincoln has the largest selection of wines, spirits, and beers, plus totally low prices and friendly service from our helpful guides. With over 8,000 wines, 4,500 spirits, and 2,500 beers, you're sure to find your favorites and something new. You can even order delivery, in-store, or curbside pickup. Find what you love what you find. Only at Total Wine and More. Now open in Lincoln next to Gateway Mall.
Drink responsibly, B21.
Ticket listeners know a dream team when they see one. At Applied Connective, we've been in the game for 20 years and have developed a team of world-class leaders in all things IT. From cybersecurity and Microsoft products to physical security, audio-video, infrastructure, business phone systems, and anything in between. We'll help you leverage technology to become your most secure, efficient, and profitable. Head to our website to check out real reviews and testimonials and sign up for a free tech consultation. We can show you where you might be vulnerable, inefficient, or overspending. It's a game changer, and it's totally free. Claim yours right now at appliedconnective.com.
At Allo, we go beyond internet, bringing you faster speeds backed by an all-fiber network. We go beyond TV and phone service, delivering reliable, crystal clear connections. We go beyond customer service with local teammates and no robots for a hassle-free experience. We go beyond value, offering transparent prices with no contracts, hidden fees, or data caps. We even go beyond our office doors by working, hiring, volunteering, and living in the communities we serve. Go beyond fiber. Sign up today at allofiber.com.
Yesterday, your water heater worked just fine. Today, surprise! When you're out of hot water, just call the plumbers at Bryant. In most cases, you can get same-day water heater replacement. What you won't get is a costly surprise with the bill. At Bryant, the price you're quoted is the price you'll pay. No last-minute extras for piping or ventilation alterations. Need a new water heater? Just call Bryant, 467-1111. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. We do whatever it takes.
You're listening to the Adam Carriker Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Adam Carriker Show here on 93.7 The Ticket. All right, you mentioned there might be some more dream job texts to get to. You got any over there, Jake, by chance?
Yeah, we do. So we've got Ben who says rescuing human trafficking victims. So that'd be a good job. Clatonia John says He wants to be the next Hugh Hefner, so he's kind of thinking a different route there.
That's putting it mildly. Go on.
And Barney says, as you start talking, Adam, I realize one of my other dream jobs is to be a full-time wrestling coach.
All right. I like that. That's a good one right there.
And we've got someone else, 7826, says, I think I would love to be a sports analyst and call the Olympics would be their dream.
Ooh, that would be fun. A lot of good ones. And a nice little eclectic mix right there. I like that too. I like the eclectic mix. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Jordy Ball is a top 25 finalist for USA Collegiate Softball Player of the Year. Ava Kuzak is in the national conversation as far as, let's see, best shortstop in America, according to D1 softball ratings. She's the number 4 shortstop in America. Softball rankings in America has her rated as the 5th best shortstop right now. You know, my wife and I have been trying to figure out, we knew this spring was going to be insane. We just did. And so we're like trying to figure out this week's schedule and that week's schedule for our kids. And I'm like, Aunt, do you realize Jordan's playing 3 sports right now? Do you realize both the twins are both playing 3 sports right now? That's 9 sports teams. The older 3, 2, 2, and 1, 14 different sports teams that we have going on right now. So we are used to being busy. A lot of people have busy lives. They have things going on. I don't think we've ever had 14 different sports teams that we are juggling at one time ever. This is a first for the Carriker family. It's fun. It's entertaining. It's exhausting. It's exhilarating. It's exhausting, but it is a lot of fun for the kids. All right. I'm coaching. I'm helping coach in basketball. Angie's doing, I think, 2 different soccer teams right now as well. So we are definitely not bored. All right. Lots to talk about here. Lakers get eliminated in 5, Jake.
That's right.
What are your thoughts here? I told you, eventually we were going to talk NBA, ladies and gentlemen. I wasn't lying to you.
Well, the downfall of the Lakers is certainly a good time to jump in. Again, I'm a Celtics fan, so I particularly enjoy these types of days.
So you're not biased at all.
Yeah, no. So
I didn't even make that connection.
I had fun relishing in their loss last night. And it's just interesting. I mean, they've still got they obviously made the big Luka trade. Everybody kind of jumped on their bandwagon, then thought that they might be able to win there, but were never able to get a center. So there was a hole on the roster. Remember the Mark Williams trade that they tried to get to go through. He didn't pass a physical, so it didn't end up getting there. And Minnesota, young team, Ant Edwards, some younger pieces, I should say, some older pieces. Mike Conley still hanging around there, but they were just able to win this series rather easily. And it makes you kind of turn on what's next. I mean, LeBron does have a player option. A lot of people would assume that he would come back to the Lakers, not just because of the money, but as well as Bronny being on the team. Luka actually has the decision to make with his that part of the trade as well. So, it's interesting to see where they go from here. But it also is worth noting, LeBron, is he hurting his all-time argument at this point or helping it? Because he's put up great numbers at year 40, but in his last 3 playoff series now, 2-12. That's rough.
I didn't even know that. Goodness gracious. So this is what was sent to me. Just going back to your favorite team, the Lakers as a whole. Who do you think deserves the most blame for the Lakers getting eliminated from the playoffs in 5 games against the Minnesota Timberwolves? LeBron, Luka, Austin Reeves, JJ Redick, the coach. They don't have a big man. And why do you believe that? One person responded, no one. The roster was incomplete from the Doncic trade. Easy for me to say. This was well known, and people decided to ignore it. Minnesota's roster is complete. Their team was better, and their coaching was great. The better team won. It's kind of one of those things. You look at the Lakers, and you're like, they got Luka Doncic, they got LeBron James. Ooh, this is a team to watch out for. You look at and JJ Redick, great basketball mind, great basketball player, young when it comes to coaching. So he's going to run into other coaches maybe that are ahead of him in their coaching learning curve right now. Minnesota was more well-rounded. They were a better team. If you did skills, especially offensive shooting competitions, I mean, the Lakers, if you did like the top 3 players off of each team, The Lakers are going to have the advantage because two of those three players are LeBron James, Luka Doncic. When you go to 5-on-5 in a normal basketball game in a series, it wasn't even close. Lakers get ousted in 5 games, and I didn't bring this up because I want to take a shot at LeBron. I want to take a shot at the Lakers. It's like, yep, it's about time to start looking into the NBA, chatting about it a little bit more. But you look at the Lakers as a whole, they just didn't have as good a team. Not as well-rounded, more holes, more gaps they needed to fill. They still have to fill that they just haven't been able to fill at this point. And hopefully they're going to try to do it in the offseason. It is interesting to see what LeBron does. Yeah, what if LeBron's like, hey, thanks for drafting Bronny, I'm out now. Well, what if he just did that? As far as a 2-12 record over the playoffs in recent years, there's a longevity piece. It's interesting because people try to use the longevity sometimes of LeBron's career against him in an argument versus Jordan. Well, Jordan did this, LeBron did this, but Jordan didn't have as many years that he played. Well, wouldn't that be a compliment to LeBron? I would feel like that'd be a compliment. Okay, so sometimes, depending on how you want to look at it, is it average points per game? Is it total points over the course of a career? We're just looking at points as an example and things of that nature. I think when you go 2-12, as great as LeBron has been, I do think at this point he's starting to hurt his legacy just a smidge. All right, and NBA viewership continues to decline. What do you think is basketball's biggest problem, and how can they fix it when it comes to viewership there, Jake? And then we're going to dive into Husker talk right after this.
Boy, that's a loaded question because there's a lot to kind of break down there. I know a lot of people don't like the just the style of play at this point because it's not as focused on hyper athleticism, and toughness, and it kind of turned into a little bit of flopping here and there, and mostly chucking up threes. So I think that part of it definitely needs a little bit of adjustment. But let's not lie about it. I mean, obviously, your stars need to be your stars. I mean, it's the same type of thing. LeBron James is struggling here. They need to pivot toward who's the next star and not just kind of say, okay, well, this is the guy. I mean, you've got it has to tie into TV ratings. I mean, it has to happen. So they need to find the next guy or have LeBron James start winning in the playoffs if you want to draw a little bit more eyeballs.
I think that's a very fair point as well. I mean, it's no different. Like look at pro wrestling. It's star driven. If you don't have stars in pro wrestling, like, people aren't going to tune in. When Hogan went away, what was that, late 80s, early 90s, when he went away, they brought him back for WrestleMania 9 because they weren't selling tickets. They literally brought him back. A lot of rumor and innuendo. He may have used his leverage to get the belt at the end of that, beat Yokozuna, all that good stuff. Okay, story for another day. But it's star-driven, so that's a fair point. For me, I think, and we'll dive more into this throughout the summer, so I'll keep this short. I started to become disinterested when they started stacking teams, the Miami Heat thing. I was like, I want competition. I don't want this. And then I would watch guys play each other in the playoffs and eliminate one another, and I didn't see a whole lot of competitive fire between the two. It doesn't have to be animosity or negativity, but it was like, oh, I just lost to my friend. It's okay. Well, that's not fun to watch. I don't respect that lack of competitiveness. Okay, at least in the situations that I saw. I'm not saying it's every single player. What I'm saying, for me, the intensity isn't the same. You can mask it under the term of load management. You can mask it however you want. The intensity on defense isn't the same. The intensity and the competitive nature of the game isn't the same. The intensity of, I don't just want to join you so we can just dominate Earth and make it a cakewalk like a lopsided youth sports tournament. I want to beat you because I want to compete against you. I may love you. You may be the godfather to my children, but right now I'm trying to whip your rear end sideways on the 60 minutes on this, or 48 minutes on this basketball court. I don't see, for me, it's a lack of the same intensity that I used to see. You talk about flopping. You talk about those things. The game isn't as physical as it used to be. I'm a physical guy. Okay, anybody who knows me knows that. So that's not going to be as exciting to me. I miss guys going to the hoop and dunking in people's faces, which you see, but not as much of. I mean, when Shaq, what did he break? Shatter two backboards early in his career? I became a Shaq fan immediately. Like, I like intensity. However that looks, it can be hitting in football. It can be competition in basketball. In baseball, whatever the case may be. The pitch clock, I think, helped baseball. I've actually found myself watching baseball a little bit more because the game moves a little bit faster. It makes it a little bit more speedy, the flow of the game, but more intense for me. A little bit more action-packed. You can guys put it under whatever guise you want. They're shooting too many threes. Guys are making millions and they're playing lazy. They don't want to compete with each other. I lump it into one word of intensity, or the lack thereof is not the same as what I liked watching as a kid. So to me, it needs to be more intensity. Dare I say veracity to a degree. And I would probably be a little bit more interested. Now, to be clear, I still watch, especially come playoff time. So we will be talking about the NBA playoffs as these things go along. Okay, now let's dive into just a smidge, just a little bit of Husker talk here. All right, Grant Segrin has received offers, all right, the walk-on offensive tackle that Matt Rule actually talked about in the press conference, that was standing out during spring, said, hey, if we could get him to believe, hey, you're more, I say this with love and respect, but more than a walk-on, like you're a guy who can play and contribute here. If we can get him to believe that, the guy's a player for us. Okay. Segrin entered the portal. Wish him nothing but the best. He's received offers from Washington State, Kentucky, Rutgers so far. Okay. We did not get Marty Brown yesterday. Quick thoughts on that. We only have limited information on that. We're not going to speculate a lot, but what's your quick reaction on that one there, Jake?
Well, it's one of those things where once it doesn't go your way, you kind of look the other way and kind of start to think about what you do have on the roster and all that. But it is still intriguing that Nebraska waited as long as they did to go after a running back, waited till they had, kind of connections to a running back to go after him. So it makes me wonder, are they still going to be looking for a running back in the portal? So that's one thing, that I immediately think of. And then the other one is, and I know a lot of people are very interested. I mean, and it's hard, like you said, without knowing what's going on. But there is maybe a belief here that somebody came in and outbid Nebraska. And so as we kind of go through all these and go through all the numbers and offseason and Big Ten, this and that, these are the battles that you got to win. I think Jamar Brown might be lined up for a third string at Miami. Maybe not. Maybe he can fight above and get into the first or second string there. But just seemed like it would have more playing opportunities here and would have been one of the bigger transfer portal additions of the entire offseason in my mind. Again, there's always that disparity that we've kind of had between coaching staff likes what they have, but on paper, we want to see a little bit more. So it was disappointing for me to see the results of this.
My takeaway from this is obviously some folks were hopeful of a hometown discount. I was like, I don't think that's going to factor in here. And here's the converse of this. If Matt Rule is going to look outside of the state of Nebraska for recruits, the recruits within the state are going to look outside of the University of Nebraska for places to play at. That includes guys in the portal. Not indicting what Matt Rule's doing. He's looking around the country and saying, we're going after the top players in the country. And that's clearly been a shift in focus for him. I'm just saying that's how high school players in the state and guys who are high school players from Nebraska that are now in the portal after they've been in college, that's how they're going to respond and see that in response to what's happening. So I don't think there was a hometown discount really a big factor here. It doesn't appear as though playtime was a gigantic factor. He probably went to the place with the most loaded running back room of the three schools, Miami, Cal, Nebraska. It was interesting. It went from Cal, was completely out of the picture, 50-50 Miami, Nebraska. Then it was Nebraska's favorite. Then it was Cal was 90% favorite, and then he ends up in Miami. It was such a crazy ride back and forth. It doesn't seem like it was about coming home or not. It doesn't seem like it was about playtime or not. I don't know what else that leaves except it was probably NIL related. So it's a business decision in his part. As far as Nebraska, man, would have been a great addition. I'm just curious how they feel about that running back room because they clearly really wanted him. So what does that mean? Is that just because he was so good? How do you not try to add him? Do they feel there's an addition that they need to make at some point, the running back room? Which one of those two is it? We'll see if they try to go after another running back. That might give us our answer. I thought this was interesting. Former Husker Jalen Lloyd on X quote tweeted, all right, Jamar, the announcement of him going to Miami, said, great decision. The comment section got interesting after that. I believe they were weren't they high school teammates or something like that? Okay. So for me, it's always interesting when fans get riled up to something like that. I would say keep in mind, okay, recruits, transfer portal players, current Huskers, they see all this. I'm just going to leave it there. They see all this. Just keep that in mind. when I say things, okay, and some of the things got kind of personal. Some of the things were what they were. I never make things personal, and it's always as researched and informed a decision as I can possibly try to make it. Okay, but just keep in mind that it's seen, and try to never make anything personal. All right, let's see here. You probably saw this. Eric Gilbert is going to play at Savannah State this season. Went from LSU to Georgia to Nebraska to Savannah State. The former Nebraska tight end, at least for a time. Wish him nothing but the best. All right, let's talk about Trey Taylor. This was a kid who came back to Lincoln this past weekend. I saw him on the field, on the sidelines at the Husker games. This is someone who's clearly very interested in the University of Nebraska. He's making his live announcement today, 3:30 Central Time. It's between Illinois, LSU, Nebraska, A&M. Okay, the 4-star quarterback, depending on where you look, incredibly highly rated, incredibly highly thought of, touted, very good player. What are your thoughts on this, Jake? And there's been all these insiders who have indicated they expect him to come to Nebraska. We'll see what actually happens. What are your thoughts on Trey Taylor, him possibly joining the Nebraska team? How much stock do you put in it? Just the way college football is. People commit, decommit, they commit, and then they sign, and then they transfer sometimes, and some of them actually stay and stick it out. I do know contracts are much, much more prevalent now than they were just a few months ago, which is going to help keep kids where they're at for sure much, much longer. I don't know exactly where the contracts sit right now because I think there's a holding pattern right now when it comes to are we revenue sharing? Are we not? Is there 105? Is there not? We're kind of waiting on the judge here. But what are your thoughts on Trey Taylor? If we get him, how big of a deal is it today? If we don't, I mean, the recruiting battle isn't over. He could still do whatever later on. What are your thoughts on this? How big a deal is this?
I don't know if it's a big deal. I think it's fascinating because of all these situations that are kind of surrounding it. You mentioned earlier Nebraska now kind of recruiting more nationally than locally, which leaves Omaha Westside quarterback Braylon Warren, the class of 2027, not getting interest from Nebraska. Meanwhile, he's got offers from Oklahoma State, Missouri, Iowa, all the teams.
Met with Ohio State.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's interesting in that way. And if you get Trey Taylor, then it's more forgivable, I suppose, if you go about that route. But like you said, I mean, what does this mean for class of 2027? What does that mean for, by the way, when you maybe would expect him to start 2028, 2029? I mean, what does college football look like? What does Nebraska look like? Is he committing because he likes Dana Holgorsen? Will Dana Holgorsen be here? All that sort of stuff kind of comes into play. And so it makes it really hard to get too excited about it. But at least you have what you always want, is a quarterback in a class that can peer recruit. So maybe you get going from to the get-go, get a jump started. It would be huge for that class of 2027, but it's just hard to really believe that a commitment today means that he's going to start in 2028 or 2029. I mentioned it the other day, 11 of the 13 quarterbacks drafted in the NFL draft were transfers. So only 2 guys stayed the whole time, and that's just what college football is, let alone this guy has only played his sophomore year in high school. So you still have junior year. You still have senior year. We saw Dylan Raiola make a few different decisions. A lot of quarterbacks do. And then that brings you to what I think is intriguing about it. Say he does commit to Nebraska, then you get into the NIL for high schooler discussion, because in order to keep somebody like that or down the line, that's what I think, programs will kind of have to shift to. And how much of that of your NIL pot can go to that. And maybe that's more from, obviously, not the institutional pay that's coming up, but more for the funds that are raised in collectives and stuff like that. So all sort of interesting kind of scenarios playing around it. As far as if he commits today, will I be over the moon? I won't be. I'll be, again, intrigued, but I just don't know if that necessarily actually will ever mean anything for Nebraska on the field.
Remember when signing day used to be almost like a national holiday? That first February, first Wednesday in February.
Huge day in radio, especially sports radio, yeah.
Dude, it was like a national holiday for college football fans. Now the first Wednesday in February means nothing because it's all been switched. Not all, but 99% of it has been switched to December. But even then, it's hard with the transfer portal. you could get excited about a kid coming in and be like, all right, this kid's a 3-star, but he can really develop. He can get bigger, faster, stronger. This kid's a 5-star. He can immediately impact us on the field, hopefully, sooner rather than later. All right, this kid's kind of under the radar. I don't think this kid's going to be that good, but he's highly thought. Like you could follow the journey of each and every person. And I would say 90% of the time, well, not 90% of the time. There was 44 players when I came in, and by the time we were seniors, there was less than half of us were still here. And way less than half the scholarship class. The majority that were left were actually, a lot of them were walk-ons, but at least you felt like maybe you had a 50% shot of following a kid all the way through. I don't know what that percentage would be now. I'm not trying to damper today. Trey he's a really good player. He got 2 years left of high school, left to play. He is highly thought of. And if he commits, it's exciting. But it's a start. It's a great start. You got one of the best quarterbacks in America committed to come to Nebraska. But now you got to keep recruiting the next 2 years. And how much, to your point, how much does the game change? How much does NIL change? How does this work? Does somebody else try to come in over the next 2? Yeah, the answer is yes. Multiple somebodies is going to come in and try to change his mind. And then do they make a big, you get all the way to signing day 2 years from now. And do they make a gigantic offer right before Matt Rule hits the press conference stage for his signing day press conference? I'm not trying to put a damper on it. I actually really like him, Trey Taylor. Like, he is a good quarterback. Seems like a great kid. If he comes here and makes it to the quarterback room, I get very, very excited. He comes here, he stays, he develops. I get very, very excited. Just the way college football is, it's hard to put a whole lot of stock in things until things are done with I don't want to say no escape route, but they're done and and like you're ready to basically kick off a game. Does that make sense, what I'm kind of saying here? Like, it's exciting, but it would just be the beginning. If he commits to, who else I said? Illinois. Let's say he commits to Illinois. On the converse, Matt Rule has 2 years to try to change his mind. So it goes both ways. You know what I mean? Any final thoughts? We do got to go to break, Jake.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's just like whether he's 2 years out, and there's something to be said about making a decision before your junior year. Maybe once to kind of be an outlier and jumpstart and get all that going for his class, whatever school he's going to. But again, things can change. And now I just think when you look at recruiting anybody, high school, JUCO, transfer portal, I'm looking at all these guys as 1 year guys because they're basically, so when you say it doesn't mean anything until they're on the field, but even when they're on the field, it doesn't mean anything for the next season.
It's a fair point. There is light at the end of the tunnel, ladies and gentlemen, for college football. I just don't know how long the tunnel is. Random stat of the day. The Bucs have the lightest and heaviest players in the NFL. All right, how much do you think the heaviest guy weighs? You have to know who that guy is. And how much do you think the lightest guy weighs?
Yeah, was that the D tackle they just got from Florida? Was he like 420 pounds or so?
Higher.
440?
464.
Oh, my goodness.
He said, oh, my goodness.
That's almost a 500-pound man. That's crazy. They make shows about those guys.
He actually, and I said this before, he moves halfway decent for his size. I tell you what, every play you got to double team that guy. And he still might have the size advantage, even if you're double teaming him. All right. And that's not like mockery, like disrespectful. That's like if I'm an offensive coordinator looking at the Bucs defense, I'm like, you got to account for that dude. Like that dude's going to be hard to move in the middle of our run game. All right. Okay. Take a guess at the weight and what school he's from, the lightest guy. Both these guys are on the Bucs, but the lightest guy.
Is he a specialist?
No, it's a school you're going to know.
Okay.
It's in the Big Ten.
He's not even a specialist?
I'll give you a hint. Yeah, he's in the Big Ten.
Trying to think. I'll just guess the weight. Let's go with 160.
Not bad, 154.
Okay.
Tez Johnson out of Oregon, the wide receiver.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
I played with a guy in D.C., Brandon Banks. He was from Kansas State. Dude, this dude had no fear. He was so small, but he had no fear. I don't know what his height was, 5'6", 5'7". And I remember they wanted him to get up, if this gives you any idea where he was at, up to 160. That was their goal. I watched him step on the scale one day. He was 144. But he was a really good returner. Really, like, he was dynamic. And I swear to God, I would see tacklers almost bounce off him. He had no fear. He was fast. He was a track guy. He ran hard. He lowered the shoulder. He would almost seek out contact. It was kind of like when somebody's like, all right, I'm a little bit smaller. Boom, I got to go prove myself. He did not get knocked back very often. He was fast. He was actually, for my first 2 years in D.C., he was one of the best returners in the NFL. He ultimately didn't make it his third year because at some point you've got to be able to develop as a receiver. And I remember Mike Shanahan saying, we can't just keep you on here to return kicks anymore. All right, because we had some receivers that were getting older. And so he needed to play more on the field. As a receiver, he couldn't do that. But he was 144, the lightest player I've ever personally seen in the NFL. But I had nothing but respect. He had no fear. All right, ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Take control of your health with the DASH scan at Advanced Medical Imaging. The DASH scan is a full-body MRI designed for advanced health screening. This dynamic approach provides exceptionally sharp images across multiple organ systems, helping to detect potential concerns early. With minimal radiation and no invasive procedures, the DASH scan offers a safe, comprehensive look at your health. Plus, results are delivered faster than ever, giving both patients and physicians confidence in screening and diagnosis. Your health is too important to wait. Schedule your DASH scan today at Advanced Medical Imaging. Visit amimaging.com or call 402-484-6677 to learn more.
Select Plumbing and Utility has been serving Lincoln and the surrounding area for 14 years, and they're not slowing down. Select Plumbing and Utility handles all your plumbing needs, from faucets and water heaters to full renovations, and they can even help with your heating and cooling needs. They're also Lincoln's underground experts, repairing and replacing broken underground water and sewer lines since day one. Contact Select Plumbing and Utility today at 402-560-6197, assuring excellence in every situation, opportunity, and challenge. That's 402-560-6197.
You grew up on cereal for breakfast and you graduated into drinking coffee at some point as an adult. Now there's a place in Lincoln where you can stay caffeinated but eat like you used to. Control Coffee and Cereal Bar brings Saturday morning vibes to every day with locally roasted specialty coffees, Lotus energy drinks, and tons of breakfast cereals with toppings. And did we mention they have video games to play while you're there too? Control Coffee and Cereal Bar open 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday and 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. on the weekends at 15th and Pine Lake.
Midwest Bank is now hiring in Lincoln. They have multiple banking positions open and are looking for dynamic individuals passionate about helping others and building relationships. With a family-friendly culture, competitive benefits, and unique perks, Midwest Bank is a great place to start a new career. Apply today at midwest.bank. Midwest Bank is an equal opportunity employer, member FDIC.
Why are some people more successful? Is it talent and determination, or did they recognize an opportunity? Discover a career that lets you help families reach their financial goals as you build lasting professional relationships. One with unlimited income potential. From Modern Woodman, a leading fraternal financial services provider.
I'm Modern Woodman Regional Director Sean Erickson. Call me at 402-483-6515 to learn about career opportunities.
Modern Woodman of America. Touching lives, securing futures.
A lot of businesses say they're family focused, but when tough situations in life arise, the business wants anything but your best interests. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring, and they will always treat their employees like family, just as they do their customers. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring Class A and B CDL drivers, a shop tech, and a diesel mechanic. If you're looking for a career with a company that goes above and beyond to value you and your family, apply today at jamesenterpriseinc.com or call 402-432-6740.
Step into healing at Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery. Our team of top-notch medical professionals turns pain into progress with state-of-the-art treatments and compassionate care. Visit prairieortho.com and discover the difference in quality orthopedic and plastic surgery services tailored to your unique needs. Your health matters, and Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery is dedicated to helping you thrive. Reach your full potential. Embrace a better tomorrow with Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
At Valentino's, we're on a mission for tradition. On every slice, for every bite. Golden baked crust, cooked to perfection every time. Savory sweet sauce that's made from our own secret recipe. Loaded with the perfect amount of fresh toppings and melty mozzarella cheese. It's the tradition that Nebraskans have come to love. From game day to every day. Valentino's. Taste the tradition.
Get rid of pesky critters once and for all with Bats to Rats. Their expert team is here to help you reclaim your home. No more sleepless nights caused by crawling critters or flapping wings. Bats to Rats ensures a safe environment for every family member. Check the website at batstoRats.com for amazing offers. And if you mention this ad, you'll receive $10 off your initial inspection cost. Call Bats to Rats today at 402-781-8691. That's 402-781-8691. Bats to Rats.
You're listening to the Adam Carriker Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Adam Carriker Show here on 93.7 The Ticket. All right, we'll see what happens. Has anybody texted in about how excited they are about Trey Taylor? Why do you look over that? All right, Trey Taylor makes his official announcement today at 3:30. He's ranked the third best quarterback in the 2027 recruiting class, according to 247 Sports Composite. Now, aside from just being a highly regarded quarterback prospect, Taylor has the potential to be a linchpin, as Jake alluded to earlier, for the Huskers' entire 2027 recruiting class as a whole. If Taylor commits to Nebraska today, as a lot of experts tend to think he will, he'll serve as a dynamic peer recruiter, one who can help sway the many talented prospects Nebraska has hosted or will have on campus soon. Now, the 2026 cycle has been a little bit murky, okay? Like I mentioned earlier, complicated by the federal uncertainty around roster limits, et cetera, but the 2027 picture is going to be a little bit clearer because they should have more answers by then. And if Nebraska can pair a strong season on the field this year with Taylor's potential commitment, the Huskers could sign a really, really good 2027 recruiting class. So that's something we didn't touch on earlier, or not too in-depth. Like getting him to commit, the ricochet effect that could have. If I'm a wide receiver and I'm looking at Nebraska and they don't have a quarterback committed, okay, maybe that matters to me. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's a negative. Maybe I just don't care. And then I'm like, oh, that dude's going to throw me the football? All right, I'm much more likely to come commit to Nebraska. And then this running back's like, hey, we're going to be able to throw the ball downfield, open up some lanes for the running game. Boom, maybe this running back comes, or maybe this offensive lineman. Oh, now we got a really good class. Now some other folks want to hop in. I don't know. There could be a little bit of a positive ricochet effect if he does commit today. If he doesn't, again, Matt Rule has 2 years to try to change his mind. So it goes a little bit of both ways. How much stock do you put into it? At the same time, if he does commit, what's the ricochet type effect for the rest of Nebraska's 2027 overall recruiting class? You got any quick thoughts there, Jake?
Well, not so much just on this situation, but overall and in general, you just to kind of start to think about it. We've of course seen over the years college players opt out of games so they, to get ready for the NFL. Now that the money is what it is, life-changing money for especially for quarterbacks in college. Yes. How long is it going to be before we see kids sitting out their senior years of high school? Oh. I mean, because this is life-changing money just around the corner, and at some point, I would think that it would bleed down to the high school level.
Why did you put that out there in the universe? Why did you do that?
It makes sense, I think.
Why? You know, something that hadn't even really occurred to me. I remember when Jadeveon Clowney, remember years ago when there was rumors he was going to sit out his senior year at South Carolina. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I hated everything about that. Luckily, he ended up playing, didn't get hurt either. I just hated everything about that. I'm a competitor. Like, let's go compete. Let's go do stuff. There's positives. There's positives to this. The positive to this is players are more likely to stay in college longer, which helps the college football game rather than go to the NFL. We've already seen that happen. Carson Beck, other guys and the like. Quinn Ewers opted for the opposite route. Much respect and love for chasing your dream, but I wonder if other players are going to look at him going from, what was it, $4 million, whatever it was, $4 million to, not chump change, but a lot less as a 7th round pick in the NFL and be like, hey, I should have stayed. Maybe we'll stay longer. I remember when I was growing up, the only guys who thought about leaving early to go to the NFL draft were like 1st round picks, maybe 2nd round picks who were trying to get in the 1st round. And then they would debate. Then you started having guys leave early who may or may not even get drafted. It was viewed completely different. Now, I think it's going to be much more attractive for guys to stay in college, which I love. But to your point, guys sitting out their senior year of high school, first of all, I genuinely don't like that you put that out there in the universe. I just don't like it. Now, does it change anything? Probably not. Okay. Christian McCaffrey was the first guy to ever sit out a bowl game. Just because somebody did or didn't say it, it was eventually going to happen. Just happened to be Christian McCaffrey as the first guy. I hope we don't get to that point, because I do think you get to a point, and I've said it before, people respect competitors, people respect intensity, people respect the athleticism, the dedication, the hard work the pro athletes have. When they start to see lazy entitlement, softness, and we're going to load manage, to me, that's affected the NBA game as much as anything. If we're not careful, it could seep into college football. I feel good that there, again, is light at the end of the tunnel. I just don't know how long the tunnel is. If the tunnel gets too long, you turn off more and more people. I'm optimistic that the powers that be are going to look around, and hopefully, I'd feel better if the people in charge of college football prioritize college football. But I'm optimistic that they're going to look around, if nothing else, from a business sense and say, hey, spring wasn't so phenomenal this year. Maybe we should make some things better so that the fans, who are the ones that make this big business and make it so everything frickin' happens. I mean, you can still play football games. I mean, sixth graders play football games in front of their parents, and it's awesome. I'm not saying that's what college football is going to be one day. What I'm saying is the size of the audience and interest could decrease. And from a business perspective, the people running college football should recognize that, and they should look at the NBA, which can easily make a comeback. I hope they do. I miss the NBA being more intriguing. I want it to do that. But hopefully the folks in college football can look around and say, hey, maybe we should make some changes a little bit sooner rather than later so our game stays as popular as it is. All right. Jake's favorite team, gag me you, Texas. The rumor, how much stock do you put in this first and foremost? 35 to 40 million they're going to spend on their college football roster. Now, we've been told the cap is 20.5 for all sports. Like Nebraska is going to spend 14.5. So I don't know how true this is. A lot of rumor and innuendo into this. How much stock do you put into it, and what's your initial reaction if it is true?
Well, I read a little bit about this. So this is the 20,000 of that number is projected to be what is coming from the university system, right? So that's the outline, and that's what I think a lot of this is trying to kind of somewhat organize it once you make the pay go through the universities. But then there is still the teams with the money. There's still the collectives that we're going to have here at Nebraska, and certainly Texas is going to have as well. So that's I think that 20.5 million, that's the starting point for a lot of these schools. Texas obviously going to go in well above that. And I think, Arch Manning certainly being on that roster, he's got like a $6.6 million on free valuation. So that's a big chunk of that. So consider that as well. But it's not all that surprising. Ohio State was pretty much had the best roster in college football. We said it all year long. And they were reportedly, or what the expectation was, that they spent the most on that roster too, at around $20 million last year. That's just the nature of the business. Things kind of keep moving. Texas gets close. They want to get closer. They want to get past that finish line and win. We know who Texas is. They're going to do it. They're going to try to outpower everybody. So not surprised by it. And I do believe that I do believe the number.
Remember the old Longhorn Network?
Yeah, I do.
I'll just leave that there. So people got to keep in mind, yes, cap at 20.5 million. But I've mentioned this before. There's loopholes. Teams with more money are going to find ways to spend more money, because those are the teams that college football, the NCAA, which I guess people kind of sort of still pay attention to at times, want to keep happy. There's these things called brand initiatives, which is another way for college football teams to find loopholes or additional ways, because they have more money. They're the big brands, to pay their players more. So that's one of the ways that this is happening. As far as Texas spending it, not surprising. They're going to be good for a while. What Steve Sarkisian has done down there, it's been a bit of a roller coaster ride throughout his coaching career, but I respect the comeback story, if you will. I respect and despise what he's done down there at Texas. It's a little bit of mixed emotions from yours truly. They're going to be an issue for a while, but that's how these teams are kind of finding ways to gain an advantage again, because they can, and they have the moolah and brand initiatives and things of that nature is how they're going to go about doing it. When we come back, we'll do some transfer portal updates. All right, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
To long-lasting tires at Tread's Central Tire Pros, a league apart in commitment, service, and expertise. This isn't just about rubber meeting the road, but trust, safety, and surety converging in perfect harmony. This is where expectations are exceeded every time. Make your appointment today at Tread's Central Tire Pros, just south of Cortland on Highway 77, or visit our website to explore our services. Remember, when it comes to tires, choose Tread Central Tire Pros because we tread differently.
Hi everyone, Kendall Warnock, A1 Automotive in downtown Lincoln. Spring is here, summer is fast approaching. With weddings, vacations, and weekend getaways on your mind, do not let car issues prevent you from getting where you need to be. Car problems shouldn't be something that you put up with. Let us get you back on the road in comfort and safety. We diagnose all makes and models from Porsches to Hondas, Toyotas, and Chevrolets. We fix a variety of issues with all of them with our talented techs and our experienced staff. A1 Automotive at 11th and L, downtown Lincoln, always honest answers.
Empower a child today with the Teammates Mentoring Program. Hope is only a conversation away when you choose to share your talent, time, and heart with a child. Together, you can build a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future, 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting LincolnTeammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
Rain, snow, or shine, John Henry's is here to keep your home's plumbing systems working properly no matter what kind of weather Nebraska throws at us. From unclogging toilets and drains to installing new water heaters and water treatment systems, John Henry's is your plumbing expert in the Lincoln and Omaha communities. Visit us at calljh.com or call
John Henry's.
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing, Heating and Air.
and electrical.
If you want to make new floor shopping easier, come to O Street Carpet. Hi, I'm Steve Carper. Our flooring professionals can help you choose the best flooring for you, your family, and your budget. We eliminate the confusion. Even better, you'll be enjoying your new flooring much sooner. No 6 or 8 week waits. We'll install right away and save you money on installation. Floor shopping made easy every day at O Street Carpet.
O Street Carpet.
1732 O Street. Family owned and operated. Always the best value.
At Parkview Animal Hospital in Lincoln, it's not just their professional care that sets them apart, but their warm staff and state-of-the-art facilities. Whether it's for a routine checkup or a comprehensive medical procedure, at Parkview, your pet isn't just another number, but a valued member of their caring family. Visit them at pahlincoln.com today and in person just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. Parkview Animal Hospital, your pet, their passion for happier, healthier, furry friends.
Authentic Mexican food is not always easy to find, but you can find it in Lincoln at Tacos Los Hermanos. Their birria tacos are worth the drive from anywhere in town, but their chicken, chorizo, al pastor, and asada tacos are also worth the trip. You can also try any of those meats in a burrito or quesadilla. You won't find a better toppings bar in the area or better dessert options. If you can't get there, don't worry, they do deliver as well. Stop by Tacos Los Hermanos for lunch or dinner today at 70th and Havelock Streets in Lincoln.
Your new Total Wine in Lincoln has the largest selection of wines, spirits, and beers, plus totally low prices and friendly service from our helpful guides. With over 8,000 wines, 4,500 spirits, and 2,500 beers, you're sure to find your favorites and something new. You can even order delivery, in-store, or curbside pickup. Find what you love what you find. Only at Total Wine and More. Now open in Lincoln next to Gateway Mall.
Drink responsibly, B21.
Ticket listeners know a dream team when they see one. At Applied Connective, we've been in the game for 20 years and have developed a team of world-class leaders in all things IT. From cybersecurity and Microsoft products to physical security, audio-video, infrastructure, business phone systems, and anything in between. We'll help you leverage technology to become your most secure, efficient, and profitable. Head to our website to check out real reviews and testimonials and sign up for a free tech consultation. We can show you where you might be vulnerable, inefficient, or overspending. It's a game changer, and it's totally free. Claim yours right now at appliedconnective.com.
At Allo, we go beyond internet, bringing you faster speeds backed by an all-fiber network. We go beyond TV and phone service, delivering reliable, crystal clear connections. We go beyond customer service with local teammates and no robots for a hassle-free experience. We go beyond value, offering transparent prices with no contracts, hidden fees, or data caps. We even go beyond our office doors by working, hiring, volunteering, and living in the communities we serve. Go beyond fiber. Sign up today at allofiber.com.
You're listening to the Adam Carriker Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Boom! Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Adam Carriker Show here on 93.7 The Ticket. All right. The Kentucky Derby is this Saturday, and the place to watch is at Liquid Assets Sports Bar and Grill at 27th and Jamie Lane in South Lincoln. 23 beers on tap, mint juleps, and high-end bourbon will be available to make it feel like you're at Churchill Downs. 30 TVs showing the Derby, but also Major League Baseball, golf, the NBA, NHL playoffs as well. Enjoy the delicious wings or handheld sandwiches like the Turkey Melt, Liquid Gold Hamburger, the Bull Market Barbecue Burger, or the brand new chocolate chip cookie skillet for dessert. Also, come watch the Lincoln Stars tonight in action versus the Waterloo Blackhawks in the USHL Western Conference Finals. They're carrying the video feed. And it's Thirsty Thursday. Get 10% off all bottled wine today only. Liquid Assets Sports Bar and Grill at 2755 Jamie Lane, just north of 27th and Yankee Hill in Lincoln. All right, a little bit of transfer portal news and updates. Like I mentioned earlier, 6'6", 300-pound Grant Seagren, offensive lineman. All right, has multiple offers from Kentucky, Rutgers, and the like. All right, Hayes Miller, wide receiver, 6'4", 180 pounds. All right, let me see here. Has entered the portal as well. We'll see what he does. Ian Flint, defensive lineman, 6'4", 255. All right, he has entered the portal as well. A redshirt freshman who was recruited as a tight end, switched to defense in the spring. A former 3-star recruit from Katy, Texas. He was ranked by ESPN as one of the top 20 tight ends in the country at the time. Rivals considered him the number 1 tight end in Texas. He has 4 years of eligibility remaining. Evan Taylor, defensive back, 6'2", 185 pounds. Taylor's a redshirt freshman from Waxhaw, North Carolina, and was a 3-star recruit in the 2024 cycle with a scholarship offer from Nebraska. Taylor suffered a season-ending knee injury in the first game of his senior season. Nebraska stood by the offer, and Taylor has been rehabbing until spring. Before his injury, he was ranked by ESPN as one of the top 50 cornerbacks in the country. DeAndre Barnes also is in as well. David Borchers, the defensive lineman, 6'4", 300. All right, place kicker Nico Adamanelli, all right, is in as well. Jack McAllister. He hasn't found a landing spot yet, has he? Or has he? Wasn't it Purdue that he ended up at? That's what I thought. So Jack McAllister is now a Boilermaker. All right, that's kind of some transfer portal update and news. All right, you got any final thoughts before we get out of here today, Jake?
No, not too much. Obviously some of the transfer portal stuff was bound to happen. And I saw that perhaps, Grant Seagren, the guys along that line might have entered the transfer portal just as a safety precaution, just in case the 105 cut does happen, and they might be able to jump back in with the Huskers, or they would if that was what they intended to do. But I do not know what Grant Seagren or anybody else is intending to do.
That would be interesting. All right, that would be intriguing. Maybe that's what he did. Maybe he ends up coming back to Nebraska. Maybe he accepts one of the offers he got from Rutgers, Kentucky, and the like. We'll see what ends up happening with his story. A bit of an intriguing one, a guy that Matt Rule singled out in the spring for positive reasons. All right, ladies and gentlemen, have a phenomenal rest of your Thursday. Go Big Red Nose. Remember to throw the bugs.